Welcome to the Social University Podcast. We are so glad you're joining us today because we want to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and people just like you who want to build their business online. Listen, if we can do it, you can do it. So let's go.
So you're a small business owner and you are very invested in using your social media to grow your small business, but you are struggling to get the engagement you want from your posts and your captions. So how do you fix that? Well, today we're going to talk about captivating captions and how to get noticed on social media. We're going to talk about best practices and we're going to talk about some steps you need to take and why you need to take those steps. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share some slides with you today. And let's talk about, so captions and terminology. Character count means how many letters, spaces, pieces of, sorry, I lost my mind there for a second. Letters, numbers, spaces, punctuation. That's the word I was going for. It's all of these things combined. So if you just write the sentence, and we'll take our title as the example, it's not just captivating captions where you count the letters. You also have to count the spaces in between and any punctuation that might also be included. So you have limits on every single thing you write. And there are people who want to overshare and there are people who want to undershare. So we're going to talk about what's ideal versus what's actually available. So first and foremost, you have to determine the length of your post based on your platform and your messaging for your audience. So let's get into that a little bit more. So why does character count matter? Well, there's really 5 main reasons. First and foremost, it optimizes the platform for algorithms. Each platform is very different and they run different algorithms and they appeal to different audiences. You are not going to get the same audience on LinkedIn that you are going to get on Instagram. So you have to talk to them like they're the audience that you are trying to capture their attention. If I used a LinkedIn caption on Instagram, it would be too long. It would not get the engagement that we want. So you have to write it for the audience based on who you're talking to and the platform you're on and what you're trying to get them to do. So first and foremost, it's you have to look at the algorithm of the platform that you're actually on. Next thing you want to do, or the other second reason that captions really matter, that the character count matters, it enhances your readability. You want to, and I'm going to talk to you about that more in just a minute, but you want to write it in a way that people can actually consume it. And most people don't want to consume these great big weird chunks of text. It's overwhelming. Me in particular, I'll read a book, I'll read an article, I'll read a white paper, but when I see a caption that's got more than 500 or 600 characters, I'm out. It may as well be a blog at that point, which I will actually read, but on captions, I feel like that's overwhelming. And you don't want your audience to feel that way. You want them to be invested and you want to get their attention and their engagement. The third reason, it improves your message clarity. Okay, what does that mean? By adding a character count, it forces you to be concise and clear in your wording. I cannot tell you how many social media audits we have done with people, individuals, as well as business owners. And when you ask them what they do or what their objectives are, they cannot answer the question. You have to be able to answer the question. Or we'll have a client intake and I'll go to the website to see what they do. And the language is rattling or it's vague or it drags or you can't find it easily. So one of the easiest things to do is to then go to their LinkedIn page or their Facebook page and check that little concise description because now I know exactly what they do, hopefully know exactly what they do. So that character count matters. You want to get to the point. Now, you don't want to be so concise that you alienate your audience either, but it does help with your clarity. The fourth reason is it encourages sharing. If you have an optimal caption length, it will encourage more people to actually share the post itself, especially if the caption is more written in your brand voice, if it's written based on the platform, and it gives you the potential, especially if it's within the character limits, it just it makes it more shareable inside that platform as well. So, and then the fifth reason that it matters is it enhances your mobile user experience. Everybody's on their phone. I would not be surprised if we're in the 80 or 90th percentile when people consume your information, they're on their phone. Not a ton of people will go to it on their laptop. And the younger your audience, the less likely this is to be correct. So you want to make sure that you are, again, optimized so that it enhances their experience, which would make them more likely to engage with you. You keep it simple, you keep it direct so that your audience will continue to engage and come back to where you are. Simple. Okay, so let's talk about now best practices for caption writing, and I have several of these. So you understand that it's imperative that you know your character limit and your ideals. Oh, and if you stay with me at the end of this presentation, I'm going to have a QR code with a very cool download. It is a cheat sheet that will tell you the character limit for every single platform, what's ideal, and what gets the best engagement for every platform. So very, very cool download. So stay with me, and that's something that you can have for free. So, okay, let's talk about best practices. First and foremost, you have to know your audience. If you are talking to a millennial, it's a very different feel than if you are talking to a boomer. So you need to understand who your audience is so you can appeal to them specifically. And that will be determined, that is, also determines what platform you're on. So if you're trying to sell vacation homes to a retired couple, Snapchat's probably not the way to go. You have to understand your audience so that you can be on the right platform and get the right messaging. You also need to determine the goal behind your caption. What are you trying to achieve? Do you want your audience to take action? Are you trying to make a connection with your followers? Do you want to grow your followers, or do you want to drive sales or ROI? Are you trying to grow your email list? Whatever your objective is also going to drive the caption. The caption needs to not only support the image or the video that's with it. Ideally, you want to have a pretty decent call to action. Now, you don't have to call to action on every single caption, but you do want to reflect your brand and your personality. We found out a while ago that for those of you guys who know me, you've been watching me for any length of time, I tend to be pretty direct. And when I reflect that in my captions, my posts do better. Snarky, sarcasm, concise, that works for me. That's part of our brand. So you have to find out what your voice is so that you can then move your voice forward in your captions as well. Okay, so start with a great opening line. There will be people who don't read past the first line. So especially if it's an ad. So it has to be good immediately. It's like a video. You have to hook immediately. You don't want to wander around and then eventually come to the point. You need to tell them what the exact reason the video is immediately, or your post. So you can have that hook in that very first sentence, that very first few characters. And it also matters because on things like tweets and LinkedIn posts, when you Google that information and it comes up, that first sentence is going to be all that shows with your video or your graphic. So it needs to be good. Now you can describe it more, and you can get more into your call to action down in your caption inside your post. And there are certain platforms you have 2,200 characters, so it doesn't all have to be in the first sentence. But in order for people to get to the end of the 2,200, you have to get them to start with the first sentence. So that first sentence really needs to be good. Keep it short. Let me say that again. Keep it short. Keep it short and simple. You guys have heard KISS, that acronym before. It absolutely matters. You do not want to ramble. It's like anything else. It's like a contest, or it's like any other information. If you ramble on, you're going to lose part of your audience. Get to the point. Stay with the point. Keep it short. Keep it simple. Make it easy for your consumer. Okay, you also want to include line breaks for longer captions. And I will use the example here of your LinkedIn About section. If you have a bunch of very strangely worded, like third person, Karen says, blah, you want to write it like you're talking to your audience, like you're talking to the one person you're trying to target. And it needs to be broken down into digestible chunks. Most people are going to blow right through one giant piece of text. They are. So you definitely want to have it broken down. You might want to have your first sentence separated. You can have a numbered list. You can have a bulleted list. You can have more than one paragraph, but break it into pieces to make it easily consumable. Becky has actually loaded the link for the free download here. It also signs you up for a free webinar, but I think that download is super cool because it gives you all of the limits for your characters on every single platform. Okay. You want to include a CTA where it's relevant. Now, every single post is not going to call somebody to action. Some of your posts are just going to be purely educational, and that's okay. As long as you're speaking in your brand voice and you're writing these captions well, that can work for you. But you do need to kind of keep in mind about 20% of the time, you need to ask for the sale. You do need to call to action. And I am one of the most guilty people of not doing that. I like to provide content. I like to provide training, and I forget to ask. I do it all the time. It is something I am striving to do better with. Like this download, I want to give it to you for free because I feel like it's very valuable. And then I will, if I'm doing a live presentation, a lot of times I forget to mention it. So it does happen, and it happens to everybody. So everything doesn't need to include a call to action, but you do need to strategically place those inside your engagement. And a call to action can look like a bunch of different things. It doesn't have to be, hey, buy this from me. It can be, hey, I want your opinion. It can be, hey, which platform is your favorite for your business? Where are you getting your best engagement? Where are you seeing your largest follower growth? Those are great calls to action because they're a question. You can ask, you can take a poll. You can ask for input. You can ask for opinions. You can, questions do so very well. But anything like that where you're deeply engaging your audience by talking to them is going to help you. And that is also considered a call to action. So it doesn't have to be this very salesy, hey, buy this for me. Hey, sign up for this. Hey, I'm selling this. It can be information gathering as well, but make sure to keep your audience in mind. You want to get creative so that you can stand out. A lot of that comes down to the graphic itself. Good graphics go a long, long way. They're much more likely to get engagement on some of these platforms than just text by itself. Although, of course, Twitter, platform formerly known as Twitter, has to be different. Has to be the special unicorn where text does better. Be creative. Stay inside your brand voice, but be as creative as you can be. It helps you. You don't want to look like everybody else. This is part of the reason I don't constantly tell our clients, what's your competitor doing? What are they doing? Who cares what they're doing? Yeah, at some point you do need to take a look at that stuff, but you don't have to dwell on it. You need to just kind of do what works for you. Be the best you can be. Use emojis. Emojis work. Don't be an emoji snob. There is a website called Emojipedia, just like it sounds, emoji and then PEDIA. It has a complete and robust list of every emoji ever. And if you're writing great captions and you're scheduling those captions on your laptop, it's a great shortcut to get those emojis into your posting. And you don't want to be an emoji snob. Statistically, they work. They work so very well. There is a reason that people communicate in emojis, especially when you're targeting a younger audience. So even if you're a more formal institution like a bank or a university, do not shy away from emoji use. It will help your engagement tremendously. Okay, you also want to use hashtags when hashtags are applicable. Now, what does that mean? It means hashtags absolutely have to be integrated on Instagram and platform formerly known as Twitter. Do they need to be on LinkedIn? Not really. LinkedIn has such a robust search feature. They're going to find that terminology, whether it's in a hashtag or not. And hashtags present their own set of unique challenges. You want to make sure you're using the right ones. You want to make sure you're using exactly how many. Just a hint, that is also included on our cool free download. If you want to know how many hashtags are ideal for each platform, we included that too. So it's on there if you want it. If you don't use hashtags on Instagram, you are missing a tremendous opportunity to be found. That's how people locate you when they do word searches, when they do hashtag searches. That's how you come up. So if you are skipping that step, you're not coming up for that search for that person. You don't want to do that. Conversely, they are overwhelming to your audience on Facebook. So that's one of the main reasons you don't want to push Instagram to Facebook, because those hashtags wear your people out. They don't want to see 30 hashtags on a Facebook post. It's a lot. So hashtags when needed, but not required on every platform. Just, you don't have to go hashtag crazy. Tell your story. I forget to do this actually quite a lot. But tell your story. How did you get started? What are some of your unique challenges? What makes you special and different? I started this business when my child was very young. I launched as a single parent. It was hard, but I didn't have a choice. I had to make sure that kids want to eat every day. So I had to make my business work, and it kind of grew from there. So tell your story. And I feel like, especially, and I know you guys can see me, I'm not 22. I feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. If I can learn it, you can learn it. I hear constantly pushback from people who are a little bit older, let's say older than 35, who constantly tell me, "Oh, I'm too old to learn this." And you are absolutely not too old to learn anything. My team, we space 3 generations. We have people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and so forth, without going to get too personal on my own age. If we can do it, you can do it. Just because somebody's 22 doesn't mean they're inherently good at this. It is a skill you can learn. But just because you're 50 doesn't mean you can't learn how to do it. You can. Tell your story. Let people relate to you. And I'll be the first person to tell you, I've made all the mistakes. I am an experiential learner, and I constantly have to remind myself of that and other people. It's okay to make mistakes. It is. It's how you recover from the mistake that really makes you who you are. So don't forget to tell your story. Okay. And bring value to your posts. When I say value, I mean educate, inform, and entertain. Educate, inform, or entertain. These are your really big 3 pillars. These are the 3 things that are going to have the deepest impact for you, because that's what gets shares. That's what gets engagement. Humor in 2024 is the number 1 reason people share videos or share posts. They think it's funny. They want to share it with their friends. They've actually got a term for it now. It's called pebbling. When someone you're connected to sends you multiple videos, multiple posts consistently over days and days, it's how they show their affection or their connection to you. It's, like the penguins that go gather the pebbles for the other penguin. Pebbling. So it is a big deal to get shared, and humor is the best way to do that. You also want to bring other value to your content as well. You want to make sure that you have sometimes educational. It can't be funny all the time. We try, but we can't always be funny. And some stuff I think is hilarious. I am alone. I get it. I can lean into that. So just make sure that those captions are working for you. Now, if you would like the download that we have today, very cool free download. It's a complete list of every single platform, your character limit, the ideal for your characters, and then hashtags too. So just to kind of give you, and it's free, just scan the QR code. We also included the link here, so that if you're not a QR code or you're on your phone and you can't scan it because you're on your phone, the link is actually in the comments. And just to kind of give you an understanding, we included all the major platforms, even the platform formerly known as Twitter, because I felt like we needed to. Not that it's my favorite, but we needed to. And it talks about ideal versus maximum. Just let me give you an example of that. The status updates on Facebook have like a 60,000 character limit. So you could write multiple blogs. Don't do that. The ideal character length is 40 characters for Facebook. That's what gets your best engagement. That's going to get you your most shares. Now, is it okay to go over that sometimes? Absolutely. If you're bringing value and people want to engage with you, absolutely, you can go over. You also have the ideal video length, which is you can go up to 120 minutes. Don't do that. Your ideal length, 2 minutes. Now, are there exceptions to that? Absolutely. Like this live right here? Absolutely. There's going to be exceptions to that. So you want to make sure that you know the ideal and that you make it work for your own plan. that is it for me today. We have some really big news coming next week that I cannot wait to share. We're going to be talking about that more and more for the rest of the month. But until then, if you would let me shift this just a little bit so you can still see the QR code, but you can see me. If you want the information for the download right there, again, it's free. It's no obligation. It's just a cool, quick cheat sheet so you know how many captions are available to you and how many captions are ideal on each and every platform. Next week, our topic is going to be hooked, creating content that people can't resist. So now that you know how to write the ideal caption, let's talk about the ideal content. Again, you can write the perfect caption, but if the graphic is terrible and if the message is bad, it will not help you. So we want all of those pieces to come together so that you are getting the biggest bang for your buck. As a business owner, it's imperative. You have to be all things to all people. So this needs to be as streamlined for you as possible. And that's where we come in. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm Karen Taradas and I'm here to help.
Thanks for joining us for the Social University podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Stay Social U. That's the letter U. And we will talk to you next week. Remember, you've got this.